I never imagined this would be the way it ended. Not once did I picture him walking away, or our chapter closing with such a quiet, mournful calm. In a single breath, barely audible, a few fragile words shifted the entire path of our lives. "I can't go on like this," I murmured, not so much to him, but to the quiet ache inside me. My voice was just loud enough to reach him, but my heart braced for an eruption, an argument, a plea, anything that might resist the unraveling. I prepared for tears, accusations, a desperate fight to salvage what was slipping between our fingers. But nothing came. No anger flared in his eyes. No confusion, no demand for clarity. Just a stillness that stole the air from the room. His expression was hollow, as if time had gently eroded every emotion from his face. My words hadn't shocked him. They were simply the echo of something he had silently carried for far too long. Then, in the silence, he did something I hadn't foreseen. He leaned in, his breath brushing warm against my skin, and pressed a soft kiss to my temple. It wasn't laced with longing. It wasn't a grasp for what we used to be. It was a farewell. A tender, wordless acknowledgement that our story had come to its final page. Without saying a thing, he rose, slipped his coat around his shoulders, and walked out. The door closed with a gentle click. No slam, no backward glance. Just an ending, clean and silent. I didn't chase after him. Didn't call his name. Didn't ask him to reconsider. I simply sat there, frozen, while the weight of that quiet pressed down on me harder than any argument ever had. A hollow ache took root in my chest, anchoring me to the moment like a stone. The instant those words left my lips, I knew something had shifted permanently. I had crossed a line I could never uncross. I had expected chaos, passion, a desperate scramble to hold each other together. But instead, we dissolved quietly, swallowed by stillness. He didn't respond with rage or heartbreak. He just understood. As if I'd spoken aloud what we had both known for a long time. The distance had been growing between us for years, hadn't it? The silence louder than any fight. The fatigue creeping in, quiet but relentless. We had stopped being partners. We were just two people surviving the mechanics of daily life, parenting side by side but emotionally apart. The spark that had once burned so fiercely between us had slowly died, unnoticed, over time. As I waited for a reaction, any reaction, I realized I had waited too long to confront the truth. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a routine, a shared checklist, and pretending otherwise wouldn't bring the love back. He looked at me then, and with the faintest, most sorrowful nod, he acknowledged it too. No resistance. No blame. Just a quiet surrender. It was almost as though he had been waiting for me to admit it, waiting for someone to finally say what had remained buried for so long. He stood with a kind of care, as though every movement carried a memory. I held my breath, expecting something more, a lashing out, a final plea, anything. But instead, he exhaled slowly, stepped forward, and kissed my temple. That one kiss held everything we had ever been. The laughter. The pain. The years we had shared. And the ending neither of us wanted to speak aloud. Then, just like that, he turned and walked out of our life together. His footsteps faded into silence, and the door clicked shut behind him. Still, I didn't follow. I didn't ask him to stay. Maybe because I knew it wasn't just his choice. It was mine too. We had both reached this point, too tired, too worn down to keep pretending. We had let it slip away together. But understanding that didn't make it hurt any less. The next morning was a kind of agony I hadn't expected. The kids woke early, their voices bright, bursting through the walls of our quiet house. I went through the motions, making breakfast, pouring juice, tying little shoes, but everything felt slightly out of place, like I was walking through a dream I didn't recognize. The silence had changed. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It was sharp, unnatural. His pillow remained untouched. His shoes no longer lined the doorway. His coat no longer hung by the stairs. Our home, once alive with the chaos of love and noise, had become hollow. I found myself glancing toward the door, half expecting him to return, to say something, even if it was just goodbye again. But he didn't. And as the days passed, that absence grew heavier, more real. I missed him, not just his presence, but the way he used to draw laughter from me, even on the hardest days. The ease of his hand finding mine. The steady rhythm of a life we once built together.